Why you must limit curiosity and respect culture and tradition. On the story of Kosisochi and the Ayaka Masquerade. Kosisochi was a lively girl with a spark in her eyes, always eager to explore and never afraid of a little mischief. Back home in the city, she was known for pushing boundaries, sneaking out to climb rooftops with her friends, trying to catch butterflies that flew way too high, or hiding her mother's phone to watch extra cartoons without permission. She just couldn't resist adventure, and her curiosity was endless. When her parents sent her to visit Auntie Amara in Orifite, a small quiet village in eastern Nigeria, Kosisochi wasn't thrilled. Orifite didn't have the hustle and bustle she was used to. No bright city lights, no crowded streets, and certainly no big stores. But the village held a different kind of magic, one she hadn't seen before. What Kosisochi loved most about Orifite were the evening gatherings under the big Udara tree, where Mama Obi, an old woman with a soft, soothing voice, told the village children stories. Every evening, just as the sun began to sink, Mama Obi would sit on her wooden stool, and children from all around would come running to her to hear her tales. She spoke of brave warriors, talking animals, and powerful spirits, and her voice would carry through the cool evening air like a song. Kosisochi quickly became Mama Obi's most devoted listener. But she wasn't just listening, she was imagining herself as the hero of every story, laughing at the clever animals and feeling the thrill of each adventure. Her auntie Amara noticed her excitement and couldn't help but smile. But there was something that Kosisochi didn't know. On the last Eke market day of every month, there will be no stories. On that night, the powerful Ayaka Masquerade would walk through the village from 6 p.m. until 3 a.m. This wasn't like the city masquerade she had seen. This was an ancient spirit, feared and respected, and it was no time for fun. Every parent and guardian are always instructed to notify and warn their children and visitors not to trespass the night of the Ayaka masquerade. One evening, as the last Eke market day approached, her auntie called her close. Kosi, she said in a serious voice, tomorrow night you must stay inside. Mama Obi won't be at the Udara tree. There is this night of the Ayaka masquerade, and it's not safe to be out after sunset. Kosisochi looked at her auntie with a curious smile. She had seen masquerades in the city, and they were just men in colorful costumes, dancing and playing drums. How scary could this Ayaka masquerade really be? Auntie, why is everyone so scared of masquerade? She asked, her eyes wide with excitement rather than fear. I have seen them before and they are not that scary. Auntie Amara's face softened, but her eyes stayed serious. This isn't like the masquerade you know, Kosi. The Ayaka masquerade isn't just a costume, it's a spirit, an ancient one. It performs sacred rituals, and anyone who sees it without permission faces a terrible curse. Kosisochi nodded, but inside she wasn't convinced. A curse? That sounded like something from one of Mamobe's stories. She didn't believe in curses. After all, she was from the city. Nothing had ever happened to her from breaking a rule or two before. So why should it happen here? The next evening, as the sun began to set, Kosisochi noticed that the village felt unusually quiet. The lively chatter she loved was gone, and doors and windows were firmly shut. Even Mamobi wasn't at the Udara tree. Her auntie had lit a small lantern, and the two of them sat quietly, the silence feeling heavy. But curiosity bubbled up inside her, stronger than any warning. Kosisochi waited until her auntie was occupied in the kitchen. Then, silently, she tiptoed to the door, slipping outside without a sound. The night was darker than usual, and the cold air made her shiver. But she was determined. She would only look for a few minutes and come right back. What harm could there be? She walked towards the Udara tree, her heart thumping in her chest. Every sound seemed louder, every shadow longer. As she reached the tree, she paused, her breath fogging in the chilly air. The world felt still, as if holding its breath. And then, from far off, she heard it, the deep rhythmic beat of a drum. The sound was faint at first, but it grew louder with each beat, like the heartbeat of something powerful. Kosisochi felt her pulse quicken. She tried to tell herself it was just a sound, just a drum, but it was unlike any drum she had ever heard, and the air around her felt thick, almost hard to breathe. From the shadows, she saw a figure emerge, the Ayaka Masquerade. It was taller than anyone she had ever seen, cloaked in a dark fabric that seemed to move on its own, like mist swirling around it. Its face was hidden, but its eyes glowed like burning coal. She felt a chill run down her spine. For the first time, Kosisochi's stubborn curiosity turned into real fear. She wanted to run, but her legs felt frozen to the spot. As the Ayaka masquerade moved closer, she could feel its power, a deep ancient energy that seemed to press down on her, filling the air around her with a strange heavy mist. The masquerade's voice was low and rumbling, like thunder rolling across the hills. Who dares to break the sacred law of Oraifite? Kosisochi tried to scream, but no sound came. She tried to move, but her body wouldn't listen. She had never felt this kind of terror before, a fear that sank into her bones. The Ayaka raised its staff high above its head, and for a moment it seemed like the entire village held its breath. Then, with a thunderous crack, the staff came down, striking the ground in front of her. A blinding light flashed, and Kosisochi's vision faded into darkness. She tried to scream, to call out for her auntie, but no words would come. She was struck silent, her voice gone, and her words turned black. The next morning, her auntie found her lying under the Udara tree, her face pale and her eyes empty, staring at nothing. Kosi, the auntie screamed. Kosi thought she couldn't speak or say. She couldn't even tell her auntie what had happened. The villagers gathered around, murmuring in shock and sadness. They knew at once what had happened. The Ayaka masquerade had cursed her for breaking the sacred tradition. Auntie Amara wouldn't stop crying as she confessed to the villagers on how she had warned her earlier not to visit Mama Obi's story scene that evening. But Kosi saw she didn't heed to her warnings due to her curiosity and stubbornness. The days turned into weeks, and Kosisochi remained silent and blind. Her once lively spirit was now quiet, a shadow of fearless girl she had once been. Auntie Amara prayed every day, hoping that somehow they would find a way to lift the curse. The village elder said there was only one way. Kosisochi would have to learn to respect the ancient tradition, to understand that something were beyond her control and that some rules were there to protect, not to limit. Only when she truly understood would the spirit even consider lifting the curse. Over time, Kosisochi grew quieter. her stubbornness replaced by a deeper understanding. She began to appreciate the stories not as just tales, but as lessons handed down to protect the people of Orifite. Years passed, and the days finally came when Kosisochi, now grown and wiser, could see a faint light through her once darkened eyes. Slowly, her sight returned, and with it, her voice. She had learned the lesson the Ayaka Masquerade had wanted her to know. And from that day forward, Kosisochi lived with a quiet respect for the traditions of Orifite. She became a storyteller herself, passing down the stories to the next generation, teaching them that while curiosity is a wonderful thing, some mysteries are better left undisturbed. Respect for wisdom and tradition is what keeps us safe. And this brings us to the end of Kosisochi's curiosity. Please let us know your own view on this story below the comment section. Do you think otherwise? Also, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories. Thank you.